Konnichiwa, Nihon Cricket Pod Yokoso. Welcome to the Japan Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Kerr, and with me, as ever, my trusty sidekick, Todd Luckhurst. And Todd, you held the fort whilst I was away, a solo episode.
Yes, bit of a bite-sized episode, as you like to call it. But it was a bit of fun. I was going to jump on after the game, the first game the other night, but it was about 2 a.m. here, and I couldn't sleep. I was that excited after the big win, but I decided that I get up early to go to work, so I decided against it. So that's why we're going to do a review today of both games.
Yeah, good. So it was, since we last spoke, it's been a lot happening, I guess. I'm not really sure where to start. We haven't done any prep for this episode. I was supposed to be on a plane roundabout now, heading back to Japan, But yeah, as Todd said, we got the big win. So we are not heading back to Japan. We've got 4 more games to play here in Oman. So yeah, I guess we should probably start with that game, Toddy. Have you got the scores in front of you?
I have got the scorecard in front of me. So the first game was Kuwait versus Japan. So Kuwait batted first, got 177 for 6. Bowling figures, Declan Suzuki, 3 for 22 off 2 overs. Then we had Sabarash Ravichandran bowled fantastic, 2 for 16 off 4. And Abdul Samad got 1 for 15 off his 2 overs. They were the highlight of the bowlers. I thought bowled well. I thought good start with Samad getting the wicket early and really put some pressure on, limited the boundaries early, which I think was very important in the power play. And that's where it all kind of kicked off.
Yeah, we fielded really well. We did bowl really well. And T20 is a funny game. I remember that early wicket of Samad's was a big one because that's a guy who we were aware of and can go pretty hard. So knocking him over in that first over was fantastic. And then, you know, we did as a group. I was doing the social media stuff, just filming the boys in the warm-ups, and I noticed that, you know, I'm always there with my phone, just filming little bits. And if anyone drops a catch or fumbles one, I tend to stop the recording and delete it because, you know, we don't want that stuff going up on socials. And on this occasion, there was nothing. There was nothing to delete. Everybody caught everything. Everybody picked up and threw cleanly. And I was like, yeah, the boys are on today. This is good. And we carried that into the fielding effort. And, you know, as I said, T20 cricket, when you concede best part of 180 in 20 overs, you're not usually that happy about it. But actually, we thought it was a chaseable target. And we haven't had a lot of success batting second as a batting unit over the last few years. We have often chosen to bat first, and I think in Korea, the qualifying tournament for this event, I think we batted first 8 out of 8 games. I think so. You know, it was a bit of a change up for us, and it was great to see us, you know, get ahead of the rate early. I think certainly the way Sabarish bowled was absolutely critical. I think he had 2 for 7 after 3 overs. And we could have bowled him out. We took him off and brought him back on again for his final over a bit later. But they couldn't pick him. And, you know, that really helped shape things. And I think the way that the boys went about it was extremely positive.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that, Sabo was the pick of the bowlers. He, you know, bit of a senior head in the team, and they, as you said, they couldn't pick him, and he knew where to bowl. I thought it was fantastic. And at the time of the game where it was kind of not getting away, but they were starting to lift the run rate, he just came on, and you knew when he gave the ball that they weren't going to score. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, I think they were I think they were like 90 for 1 or 95 for 1 after 10 overs. And at that point, you're thinking they're pushing 200 here. So, and it was really, really Sabah who dragged it back. Yeah, it made a huge impact.
It was, and as you said, the fielding I thought was fantastic. A few saves on the boundaries for 4s, which really were telling in the end of the game with the score. So, great performance with the ball. And then we'll go to the bat. So, Japan chased down the target of 178 in 19.3 overs. We had Kendall Katawaki Fleming at 28 off 19 balls. Great start to the innings. Then we had Abhishek Anand got 2 off 4. Isam Rahman, great innings, 64 off 39. Thought once he got into his innings, he batted fantastic. Sabas Ravichandran again, 39 off 29, same thing. And Ibi Takahashi kind of took the game away with some 6s I found with the bat. Unfortunately, he got out. Then we had Ben Ito Davis, 6 off 8, and Declan Suzuki came in the last over with 1 run to get, and there were 2 dots, and I'm thinking, oh no. And then he played a little rant and got a single, which won the game, which is fantastic.
It was the strangest. I mean, You've watched enough cricket with me, Todd. You've certainly seen me watching Japan games, and I'm not the best watcher, and I'm trying very hard to just sit still and stay calm. And I was sat next to Lockie Stevens, who's here with us, and he's terrific. He was so calm and so level, and he was just saying from about the 12th over, he's like, "You guys have done this. You're going to win this game. But you really don't need to worry. You're going to win this game. It's completely under control." And I was like, "It's not under control. Nothing's under control. We're never under control." But yeah, as you said, I mean, we get off to a terrific start. Obviously, we lost Anchan early, but then Eastham and Kendall put on that partnership. And the Kendall getting run out, backing up was just one of those moments where you kind of head in hands. And actually, he was nearly run out about 2 or 3 balls earlier in that same fashion. So he had a warning, but yeah, didn't get away with it. And he was pretty cross with himself when he came off. But often in those scenarios, for us as a team, we've been so reliant on Kendall in the past. So to have Eastham go the way he did, to have Ibby come out and bat the way he did, and then again Sabarish, the way that he just held things together. He was pretty gutted to be run out of the last ball with the scores level, last ball of the penultimate over. But yeah, he deserved his red ink. But it's such a good innings from him. But I mean, yeah, I think the way that Ibi Takahashi batted, came out, what was it, 26 off 15, 3 sixes, that broke the back of it. And from there, we could just do it in singles. So I think that was a really, really important innings from Ibi. And it was interesting, talking to Lockie again. He was saying how it's funny how preparation often doesn't match performance. In that he was throwing to Ibby in the net before the game, and he said he had a horrible net. Ibby couldn't hardly get bat on ball, was top edging everything, under edging everything. He was like, this guy's this guy's nowhere. And then he goes out into the middle, and he's just suddenly hitting as clean as a whistle straight back over the bowler's head. So yeah, really got us into that position. But as I hinted, yeah, you're sitting there, and suddenly we need 1 run off the final over with 5 wickets in hand and 2 dot balls, and you're immediately like, oh no, we're gonna make a meal of this. But yeah, thankfully Deck did manage to get bat on ball on that last one. So a win by 5 wickets. Japan are ranked 44 at the moment in the world, and Kuwait are ranked 23, and they certainly came into this tournament with ambitions of qualifying for the World Cup. And there was a bit of talk around that going into it. Actually, some people had them as third favourites behind Nepal and UAE. So an incredibly satisfying result. A lot of people asking me afterwards, is that the biggest win that Japan have had? It's difficult because hard to compare this era of exclusively T20 cricket with some of the games we've played in the past, 50 over games in World Cricket Leagues and tournaments that we'd won previously. But certainly speaking to Kendall, he was saying how, we'll get on to the Nepal game in a moment, but he thinks that we've actually played our best game ever 4 games in a row now, from Samoa through UAE, through the Kuwait, and then Nepal. So certainly for this team, we've had some pretty near misses. We've got close to Hong Kong, we've got close to Singapore, and not got over the line. So to finally beat one of these higher ranked teams is very, very satisfying, and hopefully sends a bit of a message to the Asia region that the EAP isn't the walkover that some people perhaps thought it would be.
Well, I put the 2 tournaments together because I thought it was going to be. So that's a nice thing that happened in the tournament, isn't it? The 2 AAP teams getting through to the next stage. But
yeah, and
yeah,
it could have
great
been
to
all
see.
3 of them. It could have been all 3. We were watching the run chase last night. I mean, without wanting to harp on too much about the issues with the format, I feel like we've covered that already, but we did see something last night that kind of made it clear how ridiculous the format was, because Papua New Guinea were playing Oman. Papua New Guinea needed to win that game to go through. But if they'd won that game too well, so if they chased the runs down too quickly, they would have gone through with Samoa, which means they would have gone through with no points because they lost to Samoa. So they needed to chase it down slowly in order to go through with the most points. It's just a stupid situation to be in. In the end, they were bowled out and they didn't chase it down at all, and they went out. There was a scenario where if they chased it down inside, I don't know, 13 or 14 overs, and then both PNG and Samoa would have gone through. But as it was, yeah, they weren't able to chase it down, and Papua New Guinea are going home early. But it would have been amazing to have 3 out of 6 teams through, and to be in the position where that could have happened is at least something for the EAP to hold on to. And we play Samoa next. That's our next game. But yeah, to have both of them there, and hopefully we can keep knocking over some of these other teams.
Of course, we always wanted Japan to win, but we always want the teams in the region to go well. And it's an amazing result that 2 of them got through. So, man, it could have been 3. We'll move on to the next game. So, yesterday we had the Japan-Nepal game. So, Japan batting first, got 131 for 8. Kendall Katawaki Fleming again with the bat. Fantastic inning, 60 of 46, 5 fours, 3 sixes. Pick of the batsman. Abhishek Anand, 1 of 8. Isam Rahman went well again, 31 of 25, 1 4, 2 sixes. Ibrahim Takahashi, 4 of 5. Sabo Ravichandran, 1 from 5. Ben Ito Davis, 17 of 12. Declan Suzuki, 1 of 9. Rayo Sakurano Thomas, 3 of 6. Charlie Hines and Alex Troy Patmore, 0 not out each. Yeah, once again, Kendall just getting it done with the bat, and Isam Rahman getting it done well, and Ben came in, towards the middle stages, towards the end, and got himself some runs too. So I thought the target was against a really good bowling lineup. I thought to get 131 was a good effort.
Yeah, pretty respectable. I mean, again, what were we? I reckon we were 95 for 1 after 12 overs. And I was sitting there at that point thinking, 160, 170 is feasible here. But unfortunately, we lost both those guys who were in. I think their partnership was something like 80 off 50, something like that. That partnership was going really well. And if one of them stays in, we probably do post a score that would be really challenging for Nepal to chase. But unfortunately, we lost them both pretty quickly. And a little mini collapse. But I thought Benny did a great job down the end. Got one maximum away and another boundary just to lift us, because at one point it felt like we just couldn't score at all. And the way Kendall took to Sandeep Lamishane, who's a guy who's played at the Big Bash and is a pretty well known cricket player, for him to take him for 664 in the 9th over, I think it was pretty cool to see, and certainly kickstarted that innings. And I think that there's certainly at one point that I mean we'll probably come to it in a moment. We had a lot of fans in. The Nepalese crowd was boisterous. The stand was completely full, and they went pretty quiet around that sort of 9, 10, 11th over as Japan were putting the runs on. And to be able to quiet them down is no mean achievement. So I think that kind of said that we were going okay.
Definitely. I was going to mention the crowd. It was rocking in the stands there by the sounds of things. I saw some footage of the vision of people in the stands. It was full. It was packed. Looked really good.
Yeah, I haven't been able to go back and watch anything yet from either game. So I'm going to do that as one of my jobs today, to watch the highlights at least. But yeah, there was some pretty funny stories from the guys who were fielding down there. Certainly Rayo was surrounded by sort of crisp packets and various things that had come out of the stand, either deliberately or by accident. We're not sure, but there were certainly some spicy chants coming out, and some of our boys couldn't help themselves but get involved in those. Just some friendly exchanges, but actually it was really nice after the game. We went over to thank the small pocket of Japanese supporters who were here and gave them a bow, and actually the Nepalese fans all started chanting Japan, Japan. So that was really cool, and they gave us a big cheer as we gave them a wave. And I think the Nepalese fans are very, very passionate, and they really support their team. And during the game, sure, they'll get on your back and make it hard for you because they see that that's their job. But as soon as the game ends, actually they're super friendly. And I was able to catch up with some of their players last night in the hotel. I had a long chat with Karan KC, who's a bit of a cult hero of theirs. It was his birthday yesterday, so and he didn't play in the game, which was a bit of a surprise for us. But yeah, terrific guy to talk to. Been around Nepal cricket for a really long time, and it sort of embodies what they're about. And yeah, as a team to play against, certainly for us. Maybe Papua New Guinea, when we played in Port Moresby, they had a lot of fans there for that final qualification game 2 years ago. So I was speaking to Alex Shirai Patmore, and he was saying he thought there were probably more there that day, but I don't know. That stand here, it's a big old stand, and it looked full. And it was a cool backdrop to have. Definitely, we don't get the opportunities to play in front of crowds very often, and that's certainly the one thing Nepal bring to world cricket is they bring fans no matter where they play. Again, talking to Isam Rahman, he was saying that he played against them in Darwin in the top end series recently, and even in Darwin, they had tons of fans there watching them. So, yeah, their team really does get support around the world, and is something that a lot of associate nations aspire to, I guess.
Yeah, and a great experience, and it makes it a lot of fun, doesn't it, when playing in front of a big crowd, and especially when they're boisterous and like to lift the tone of the game. So we'll look at the bowling. So Nepal were chasing 132 from their 20 overs. They got the runs in the 18 at the 18 over mark, 132 for 5. We'll run through the bowlers. Rayo Savarano Thomas came into the side. He got 1 for 28 of 3. Charlie Hinds, none for 21. Shomas Tegay Slater bowl fantastic, I thought. 2 for 22. Got a bit fiery, I saw in his bowling, which was good to see. Isam Rahman, 1 over, none for 9. Sabo Ravichandran again with the ball, 4 overs, 1 for 27. Ibrahim Takahashi, none for 6. And Declan Suzuki, 1 for 19. I thought bowled well.
Yeah, again,
I thought it's hard to defend a low score on 130 against such a great batting side as Nepal. They're a proper cricket side, and I thought it was a pretty good effort. 1 for 36, 2 for 63. It's hard, isn't it, when you haven't got a big total on the scoreboard and the 2 for 63 outs after 7, but I thought to take it as deep as it was a good effort with the ball.
yeah, 100%. Like, they got off to a pretty good start. I think the power plays were pretty even. I can't remember which team won the power play, but we were pretty even on that. And when we got the wicket of the opener he made a runnable 21, and it really felt like he'd gone harder than that. Because it felt like he'd hit a whole load of boundaries. We are actually tying him down better than we perhaps realized when watching from the sidelines. And it was interesting how the innings went because, yeah, as you said, they were like 60 odd for 1, and you kind of think, oh, they're gonna do this in 12 overs, 1 or 2 down, and it's going to be a bit of a flat game. But actually, the way we dragged it back, the fight we showed, the spirit we showed as a group, because we weren't fielding that well. There were a couple of little fumbles and that were kind of a couple of twos that were run that perhaps shouldn't have been, and we were sort of not quite as on it as we had been the day before. And it's a quick turnaround playing those back-to-back afternoon games. We didn't get back from the game until I reckon it was nearly 8 o'clock in the evening after playing the afternoon game, because by the time you've played the game, done the media, got your stuff out, had food, put your kit on the bus, done the travel, it's hours, 3 hours after the game's finished before you're home. And so, but then you've got to get back, do a bit of recovery, and hopefully get some sleep. But and you've got a game the next day, so some of the guys are already switching to thinking about that game. Others are still buzzing from the win, so you don't sleep very well. So that's something that we're just not really used to in a tournament as big as this. We're used to playing back-to-back games, but when you throw everything else into it, it's just different. And so the way that we fought back again, Sabarish's first over, his first 2 balls went for 6, and his first over went for 17. But then you said his figures there was at 1 for 27. So his next 3 overs have gone for 10. And he picked up the wicket of the captain, Rohit Paudel, LBW, and then the big moment, really. I'm not sure which over it was. I think it was the 13th over. He's just dismissed the captain, LBW. Huge appeal for another one against the new batter that wasn't given, and it looks. I mean, I've seen it a couple of times. Looks pretty out. And if they're 90 for 6 and they've suddenly lost 5 in, not many overs, who knows? It could have been on if that decision had gone our way. And there are a couple of others that didn't go our way, like Rayo hit the opening batter right on the toe, second ball of the innings, I think, which was right in front, and Rayo wasn't sure, then maybe could have been some bat in it. And then Charlie Harahins, he had one of their players, again, from what I was looking at, looked pretty out. So things, in a game of cricket, when you're playing against a side as good as Nepal, a top 20 side, a team that's been to the World Cup, and a team that I'm absolutely certain will go to the World Cup again. You need everything to go your way. You need every little bit of luck. You need every decision. You need every 50-50 chance to be taken. And that didn't quite happen for us. But I think that hopefully we showed a lot of people that we're not a pushover and that we're here to fight. And I think, there were a couple of moments, both in the batting innings and in the bowling innings, where things could have worked out differently. Like I said, 90 for one with 7-8 overs to go, and having them at 90 for five, you're thinking, geez, this game's on here. But I guess that's the difference between top sides and where we are at the moment, is that they can seize those moments and turn things around when they need to. They can find a wicket, break a partnership, and likewise they've got batting depth, guys that can come in. I've forgotten his name now. The guy who came in at the end,
Yeah.
Gulshan, Jar.
Yeah.
He's at 28 of 20. He's 19 years old, apparently. He's a big guy. And so that quality and depth that they have is what separates them from us. But it's something for us to aspire to, definitely. And it was great to go over and do the media afterwards. It was a bit fiery. And Kendall wasn't very happy with Gulshan giving him a send-off. And to be fair to him, Gulshan came straight up to him in the presentation and apologised, and said, look, I'm sorry for the words. Passion got the better of me. And Kendall was like, yeah, no problem. It's one of those things that you've got me out. You've won the battle. There's not really any need to say anything, but I understand it was a big moment in the game, and I thought it was really nice. It seemed very genuine. And we're staying in the same hotel as them, and half of them are on our floor, so we can't really we don't want to get into too much of a scrap with them. But I think once the game finishes, everyone's friendly again, and yeah, it was just good fun, and I think all the boys really enjoyed the experience, and hopefully we can do it again, because, like I said, they're a team to aspire to, and being able to match them and have the opportunity to see how we stack up against them is really, really good. And thankfully, there's more of that to come in these next 4 matches now.
Yeah, I think it's important to. I know that looking on socials, me and you follow a lot of associate cricket, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, and we're involved in a lot of cricket chronicles and that. And Japan are winning the respect of everyone in the associate cricket and the wider cricket community with their results. Everyone's going in saying, "Oh wow, Japan have got through to the next stage," and so that opens other doors, doesn't it? Future possibilities, play against different countries they've never played before, and play against higher ranked teams. So, there's always, every game does mean something in the end, not just for this tournament, but for future endeavours to play some better cricket.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, I've had to stay off socials. It's my phone's just not been able to handle it, and there's too much, actually. I've kind of reached my limit, I think. But that's certainly the kind of stuff I'd hope to hear, that it is a lot of positivity around what we're doing, and absolutely what you say. Whenever I try and arrange fixtures, arrange tours, or invite people to Japan, the first thing they kind of ask or look at is, what's your ranking? We've discussed the rankings before and the flaws that exist with them. So for us to be able to actually just point at some results and say, well, look, we've beaten Kuwait, we've gone pretty close with Nepal, that will help, and that will hopefully help gain a little bit of interest. And the other thing is that Nepal and UAE, they have pretty big franchise leagues. So we keep saying to the guys, one individual performance, one great catch, one good innings, one even little cameo innings, you could land yourself a contract at the Nepal Premier League or the IL20. So there's opportunities to be had in this tournament, which it's not just about qualifying for the World Cup. Obviously, from a team point of view, that's a singular focus, but from an individual point of view, this is a shop window. It's an opportunity to open doors for individuals as well as open doors for the team. So it's a great thing to be part of, and I'm so pleased that we've come through to the next round, because to have come all the way here and only played sort of 2 official matches would feel like an opportunity missed. So to get the extra week and the chance to go up against, Qatar, obviously Qatar and Oman are the 2 we haven't played yet. We played UAE and Samoa in the warm-ups. We had to play them again, in competitive games this time. So, there's opportunities here, and we know that probably 3 wins would actually see us through to the World Cup. So that's a pretty exciting position to be in. You asked me before we came on what it was like, or how it's been with the logistics. Winning that Kuwait game was one of the best and worst moments in that I suddenly had to change an awful lot of flights. There were a few awkward phone calls made to partners and wives. Some of the coaching staff have been up against it a little bit with the reactions from back home. My wife's been very supportive. She's a wonderful woman. My daughter, slightly less so. It was actually my daughter's school sports day today at Undokai, which I missed, which I knew I was going to miss anyway. But yeah, a little bit homesick today from that. My wife's just sent me a whole load of videos. But yeah, some of the other boys, I think, when they was telling their partners they were coming on this trip, were perhaps played down the chances of an extra week in the Middle East and have now been met with a little flurry of displeasure. But it's a good problem to have. And I think that changing the flights, my goodness, I was doing it until 2 a.m. So we won the game, come back here, had a celebratory drink with the coaching staff, and then back in here and changing. I managed to get nearly all of them done. I finished off the last one the following day. So yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of logistics to be had. And actually, I couldn't get us home until, makes it worse, I couldn't get us home until the 19th. And so we're supposed to depart on the 18th, but there were no flights. So we're departing on the 19th instead, which will get us back on the 20th on Monday. So it's another day off work for the Japan-based players. All the other guys can get out on the 18th. And some of the coaches can get out actually after our last game on the 17th. But the Japan boys won't be getting home until the Monday afternoon. So an extra day out of the office for a few guys.
Yes, as I said, it was late here when the game finished, and first thing I thought was, oh no, Alan's going to be so happy. And then it's going to be like, oh no. You have to change a lot of stuff. Yeah. Oh, well, that's all we play cricket for, and so those awkward conversations will be all right.
Whilst we're talking about Nepal, Todd, I should probably show you. I've got the gift from the TOS, and the Cricket Association Nepal pennant. And
rhinoceros.
I do think that Nepal, yeah, it's a rhino. So the rhinos are big in Nepal. They've got a whole load of them in Chitwan National Park. And the Nepalese flag, Todd, you like it with the trivia. How many countries in the world do not have rectangular flags? I've given you one.
I've seen this recently on a trivia question somewhere. Yes. Is it 3?
Not great podcasting, this, is it? Oh, you've nailed it. 3. Well done. 3 is the right answer. Can you tell me who the other 2 are?
No, I just plucked a number out, to be honest.
You just picked a number, yeah. Fair enough. Well, the other 2 are Vatican City and Switzerland. But Nepal are the only country who do not have 4 straight sides with their flag. So there you go. Good bit of trivia for you. I guess what we should look at next is the fixtures coming up and the schedule. I think they are out on our socials. You were just talking through these before we came on. So we've got Samoa next. So Samoa tomorrow, which will be a midnight start in Japan. So that's going to be a tough one for the people back home to watch, and it's going to be our first competitive night game. Of course, we played Samoa under lights in the first warm up, so it's a bit of a rinse and repeat back on the same ground. And then we're actually going to play 2 games in the morning. So we've got Qatar on the 15th at 3 p.m. Japan time, so a nice afternoon game. And then we've got the UAE the following day. That's an afternoon game, so that's 7:30 p.m. Japan time. So that's 2:30 local time, which is the same as what our 2 competitive games have been so far. And then it's a tough turnaround because we're straight back for a morning game against Oman. So it's an afternoon game followed by a morning game. So that's not a great lead in. And if we've won all our games, if we've beaten Samoa and Qatar, UAE will be a tough one. But there's a realistic position that we could go into that Oman game, knowing that whichever team wins that qualifies for the World Cup, which would be a cool way to finish the tournament. So let's see how that goes, because it's the opportunity is real.
Bit of a stitch up there. The home team get a bit longer break than the visiting team, but anyway, we won't mention it too much, Alan.
Yeah, I haven't seen their fixtures, actually. I should probably look at that.
So Oman are playing the early game on the sorry, I'm just with the time difference. It's a bit hard for me to get when they're playing. They're
Oh, Oman don't
playing.
play. Oman get a rest.
Oman are playing Wednesday night game, and then
Yeah.
don't play again till the Friday when they play Japan. So they get
So
Thursday
they
off.
play 3 days in a row. They play Sunday. Oh no, they play Sunday, Monday, rest. Then they play Wednesday, rest, and then they um
Friday.
Friday. And whereas we play Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think we're the only team with 3 games in a row, which is a bit stiff. Oh no, Samoa as well get 3 games in a row. I guess this is the curse of finishing second in your group. You don't get as good a draw. But yeah, there's definitely a few things in favor of the bigger teams. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, that's I guess that's the nature of sport, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately. It's just
Anyway,
but we're
Toddy,
happy
I
to.
think that
I'm sure you're happy to be there, Alan. So that's the main thing.
yeah, isn't it? I think that probably wraps up this one. We'll try and catch up again. Like I said, we have 2 days off after the Samoa game, so we play tomorrow and then 2 days off, so we can maybe do a quick review of that Samoa game. After that, it'll probably be, as I've said, I'm going to get another rest day after the final game. So perhaps next Saturday we can catch up again and do a tournament review.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, in the meantime, thanks everyone for listening. Oscar Samadeshta, please keep supporting us, as Todd mentioned. Please keep the support on socials coming through. The boys do read it and they do check the Instagram comments. They do, despite my suggestions to perhaps avoid some of them, but yeah, they do tend to read them. They do see the support, so it's great to have that coming in, and they do really appreciate it. So, thank you to everyone who is supporting the team from back in Japan and around the world. And the boys and myself will keep doing everything we can to keep the World Cup dream alive. On that note, let's go some of their stuff.